So, hello, Marcia.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And I would like to ask you to make a presentation of your workshop, which is supposed to take place during the International Psichodrama Online Conference. So, what will it be?
It will be called the therapy of relationships, which is what Doctor used to call psychodrama. He called it also the scientific exploration of truth through dramatic method. He very much respected Moreno, he respected Freud's scientist role. And Moreno used to tell us how different he was from Freud, but he really did respect his role as scientist. And so there's a lot of science in the work. So therapy of relationships, I think we're going to look at early memories, the first memory that one has, and the impact it has on our present behavior. Now, why is it like this? Well, first of all, I used to look at the simplicity of Moreno's idea of just putting our lives on stage, looking at our current lives. And I used to think as a student how simple the idea was to just look at our lives in the here and now and see if the past has any relationship to it. And he used to say, you know, looking at the past is only meaningful if it helps us in the present improve ourselves and so on. So there's going to be a lot of discovery, I hope, looking at people who've influenced us in these early memories, the first memory. And very often, the first memory, what impacts us is the nonverbal feedback we get from our family or people who are there. And that first memory, for example, what sparked my thinking was Rosa Parks. You may know of her in 1955, a Black woman who refused to give up her seat in the bus for a white person. Unheard of, 1955. And her first memory was her family talking about when she was a little girl, that she was treated as a regular little girl, not as a Black little girl. So here she was at 5 years old, influenced by that memory. And what does she do? She becomes a woman who's a regular woman and refuses to be put in the back of the bus or treated as other than a regular human being. Lives matter. That's where we are now. Yeah, so that's, we'll be discovering what in role reversal have those early memories given us and the people in those early memories by role reversal, of course. And also what's influencing me, we were each born into a group. So we're always looking for our tribe and the influence our tribe has on us. So hopefully that will be a way of, again, our self emerging from the roles that we had in these early memories and roles that we took through to our present behavior. The other thing that influences me is, I remember in training, Moreno used to say, and he wrote about it, perhaps the psyche isn't just here, it's between you and I. So, Oksana, you and I are having this interchange now, an encounter now, but I might be different with my son who walks in the door. So perhaps the psyche exists between us and not just here. So that's something that we're always working on too. the encounter between us, the meaningful encounter between us, which gives us a mutual opportunity. I suppose it doesn't at this moment. It did just before the recording. We were exchanging views, but now you have a role of the interviewer. I have the role.
I'm starting. Okay. So, Marcia, you was telling about that idea of Dr. Moreno, that psyche is like enveloping us from the outside, something
Well,
like
and maybe it doesn't exist just in here, he used to say. Maybe it exists between us, because the relationship I have with you, Oksana, here would be different from the relationship I would have with my son who would walk in or something like that. Our encounter is different than my encounter with my son, but now you are in a role, and we know ourselves emerge from the role. So you are in the role of interviewer, I'm in the role of interviewee. That's where we are.
Yes, and perhaps if we meet during the workshop, we will have another roles, and it will be another encounter as well. And Marcia, could you recall any ideas of Dr. Moreno concerning the, let's so say, inventive therapy? As what we are doing right now, we are somehow inventing this psychodrama online therapy. So maybe you can recall something about.
Well, it's exciting in many ways, because he used to say we're at the brink of creation and we're all responsible for this co-creation. So each moment we're at the brink. So here we are at the brink of creation, you and I here and people in the conference. But I think this ambivalence that we have, should we do work online? Should we do work face-to-face? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? I think Moreno had that in his mind also, and I'll tell you why. One night in our training, I remember he said, one day at the push of a button, we'll be able to have a fisherman from Japan share the troubles he has with his son with a worker in Norway who has a similar kind of problem. So what we're doing here in the social network and the sociometric choices we make in the social network of like, rejecting, on what basis, and so on, the certain criterion that we use sociometrically. So he was excited about that. He was excited about bringing the recording machine to America when he came from Austria to get it patented and so on. So he came partly because of a machine and partly to bring his ideas to America. On the other hand, he used to say to us, don't trust machines, trust people and the creativity of the group. I remember that when we went into the theater, if you had a camera or a tape recorder, it never worked in the theater. And we used to laugh about that. You know, we tried to take pictures of the stage or each other and the camera never worked. So there's this ambivalence about, is it best to do it together face-to-face? Is it best to do it together online, which we're discovering? So that's a memory that I have.